Welcome back to MMA Oddsbreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. This week on the phone, we have Chris Lytle, one of the best guys. And when I was competing in the weight class at my weight, we never got to fight, but I thought that would have been a great fight if we ever did battle. Back when I still had hands and a chin that allowed me not to get knocked out. Chris, I saw you this last weekend at the UFC. You were cornering Matt Mitrione. He was supposed to fight Stefan Struve. Stefan had what I want to say was just a case of the nerves, not a heart problem. He just was nervous from not fighting for a year. But take me through what happened in Mitrione's locker room. Like he had to be ready. He had to be pumped. I saw him Thursday night. He was so excited, ready to fight. I saw him some photos of him Friday morning having a heavyweight breakfast before weigh-ins. And then Saturday, all of a sudden, a disappointment. So take me through the locker room when you got the announcement that he all of a sudden wasn't going to fight anymore.
Yeah, well, like you said earlier, it was amazing to me how good of spirits Matt was in. I've been talking with him and touching base with him, finding out how everything was going. And he's been so excited, just ready for this fight. I was very confident for him. His body was feeling good, very excited. So, and like you said, we talked about that breakfast one time, and he said, I'm probably eating more calories right now than the rest of the cards combined. Heavyweights, they didn't have to make weight or anything. So, we're in the locker room. He's fired up. We're kind of relaxing, trying to calm him down a little bit, not getting too geeked up before he was actually ready. You don't want to get the adrenaline flowing too much. We're trying to make jokes and keep things going a real light move. So we have his hands taped, and he's getting ready to go, and they had his gloves on. They taped his gloves on. He's kind of starting to stretch out and loosen up and stand up and start to move around like he's going to start hitting some things. And all of a sudden, I look over and I see Joe Silva walk in, and I said, well, that's weird. You don't see that too often. I don't know what he's doing here. And then all of a sudden I saw Dana White walking and I said, oh Jesus, something's going on here. This isn't good, And I could just see the look on Matt's face. I looked over at him and he was just kind of trying to figure out what happened. He walked over there.
Okay, so Chris, hold on. Okay, hold on, Chris. So now at this point, you see Joe Silva, you see Dana White. So what do you think has happened? Like, what is your honest opinion of something that just happened? Because mind you, there's other guys in the locker room. There's other things going on. Like Matt wasn't in the locker room by himself, correct?
No. There's 4 other fighters in there.
So do you think hey, somebody got busted, somebody got popped, like somebody's in trouble? When Joe Silva and Dana White walk in, everybody's getting nervous. Did you think, hey, it's not my guy, it's somebody else's guy in the room that's about to get yelled at?
Well, no, because I think 2 of the other guys had already fought, so I knew it was either Matt's fight or one other fight, and for some reason when I saw Joe, he kind of looked over at us and as soon as he did, I was like, they're not here for anybody else, they're here for us. And I didn't really know what was going on. I was thinking, man, what could this be about? I mean, did Matt do anything wrong that I know of? He hasn't left the locker room, so I was like, what's going on here? And I fought in the UFC 20 times. I've cornered some people. I think there's only been one other time where I've ever heard of anything like this happening. So it was definitely not what I was expecting. When they told Matt he wasn't fighting, he didn't handle it real well. He was like, no, I am fighting. I was like, he might be fighting somebody in the locker room. I didn't know what exactly he planned on doing, but he was very disappointed he didn't get to fight. He was definitely mentally and physically ready for that fight right then.
Now, so pay-wise, we all know that fighters get paid when they fight. So Matt came in and made weight. He got ready to fight. So I'm assuming the UFC gave him his show-up money. But did he get his win money as well, his bonus money?
I'll tell you what, UFC actually took care of him, and they really did the right thing in this situation. He got his show money and he got his win money. So I was very impressed with that. I thought that, I said, well, that's going to suck because you're probably just going to get your show money so you were counting on more. And they actually, they were very sympathetic to his cause, knowing that he was ready to go. And so they said, you came here ready to go, you're ready to fight, and this unfortunate accident happened, so we're going to pay you the full amount. So I was very impressed with them doing that.
And it's things like this, it's that little bit of them just going and giving, I don't even know what Matt makes, but giving him his win money, even though he didn't fight, just to take care of him, is another reason why I keep telling these young fighters, get a huge amateur record, 20 fights, 25 fights in the amateur leagues, get to 15-0, get to 20-0 when the UFC starts calling, and no matter what amount of money they offer you, I don't care if it's below what you're making in the minor leagues, take it because they find a way of making you more money once you're in there. Just get into the big leagues and take the money. Do you still find that to be true?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is if you're gonna go in there, you're gonna do what's expected. The thing a lot of people don't like about Dana White, that he says this, he says that. I'm like, you know what? He's gonna be straight up front with you. He's gonna tell you what he expects from you, and you have to look like this. And anybody who's had a real job, I mean, he's your boss, and if he asks, if he wants you to performance or do whatever, and you do it, there's going to be rewards. He's going to take care of you. Even if it's like locker room bonuses, or sometimes they have non-disclosed bonuses they give people. I mean, you can't ask. Like, you can't ask for you have a contract, and no matter what, you're going to get paid more than your contract says, because they're going to take care of you if you're actually going to be somebody who's actually just going to be more or less a good employee. You're going to go out there. All you have to do is go out there and fight as hard as you can and don't cause any problems, and they're going to take care of you. So once again, if you're going to go out there and you're going to be a professional and fight hard, they're going to take care of you. You have to do that. You have to go out there and you have to act like a professional and you have to fight hard. And they're going to take care of you best they can.
Well, so now Mitrione's in a weird situation. He finished, I'm assuming, an 8-week, 10-week training camp. Was supposed to fight July 5th. As now is fighting exactly 2 months later, September 5th. So now it means he's looking at like a 16-week, 20-week training camp to get ready for Derek Lewis, who also is a completely different style fighter than Stefan Struve. So not only does he have to be back in training camp right away this week, right now, but he's also got to fight a different kind of guy. What's Matt's mental status right now? Like when he found out, hey, I'm going to fight Derek Lewis, what's he thinking about?
Matt's very excited. I just hope that, he hope he doesn't start thinking too many fights in advance. I mean, Lewis is a big, strong, tough, extremely tough individual he's going to have to fight here before too long. So what I've kind of recommended to Matt is saying, look, you just went through an 8-week camp. You're in great shape. You're not going to get out of shape here in the next week. I recommend you take a few weeks off. Actually, I mean, just go in the gym and keep moving around and stuff, but don't start your hardcore camp until 6 weeks out. Because to me, you do an 8-week camp with him, not quite as good shape. He's in great shape right now. He's ready to fight. So,
yeah, when I saw him, he looked amazing.
I think a 6-week camp is good. Give your body a little bit of time to heal. Because 4 months later, your body's going to start breaking down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I saw. When I saw him on that Thursday night, I was like, it's the best he's looked in a very long time. He's in great shape. He was strong. I talked to Neil Melanson a little bit. He was down there training with Neil in San Diego, and Neil was even saying that's the strongest that Meathead's been. And this is a tough fight for him, getting ready for Stefan Struve, but he wanted to prove he had the game. Now Derek Lewis is the same way, just a different type of guy. Well, let's talk about you, Chris, real quick before I let you out of here. You seem like you're more busy now than when you were fighting. What else do you have going on besides just training guys and still being a fireman?
Well, what's funny is I'm actually doing something with Fox Sports 1 here next week, getting ready to try and do something for the fight coming up in New Jersey. I'm going to be doing the weigh-ins, kind of commentating on that, and analyzing what's going on with the weigh-ins, as well as the post-fight. So I'm trying to get involved in a couple of different areas. I've been putting on fights here in Indianapolis for about 2 years, and we've done some commentary as well on that. So I've really enjoyed it, and when this opportunity came up, I was all over it. I was wanting to try it out. So, I'm just always kind of I got my hand in a lot of different areas. I try and do something at all times. It's different. It is like you said, I am very busy right now. But it's a different kind of busy, Like before, I was gone every night. I went to the gym and trained at night. That's when I did it, and I never got to really be around my family. Now I spend a lot more time with the family. Like other times, I do have to go away for a couple of days, but there is a lot more time at home. I just never got the home time before, so now I found out how to balance it a little bit better and make it to where I can still spend more time at home and still do a lot of things I love to do.
That really pisses me off that you're jumping into Fox Sports 1 because now it's another guy I got to battle to try to get another job. It's like every time I turn around, these really, really smart, articulate guys that were part of my era that fought in my game, we all got it about the same time, still with our wits, still able to speak. We're not drooling. We're not punch drunk. And we're all jumping into commentating. It's like now there's 8 jobs and there's 37 of us fighting for the 8 jobs. And every time I turn around, somebody better than me is getting into it. And it's, geez, good for you. I'm glad you're going to be on Fox Sports.
I'm not quite there better either, but it's really weird. I just keep seeing, I've had it planned for about a month, and then all of a sudden I'm looking on different websites right now, and they're saying, Chael Sonnen inspired Chris Lytle's replacement. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. That's not what happened at all. I'm going in there to do this sometimes. It's kind of funny how people are jumping to conclusions saying that they fired him and I'm in right away. I'm like, I'm just going there to do this one time and see how it goes.
I'm going to be honest. For as much as I love Chael Sonnen, for as much as I consider him a friend and how I understand his plight and understand what he's trying to go through and trying to survive and trying to deal now with the TRT and the second drug conviction, the second drug test failure, that like every other vulture, the moment that he got announced that he got fired, I started calling everybody. Let me in. Let me come back and commentate. Let me in that job. And it's been everybody is applying for that job. Everybody is coming in trying to get for this space. And it really is a battle. So for you to be in right away the next week, hey, I'm down in Jersey, I'm going to be on Fox Sports 1. There's a huge deal, Chris, because it's not just me. There are other guys that have got 10, 15 years in the broadcast world in mixed martial arts that are applying for this job, and they took Chris Lytle first. So that's a huge feather in your cap because you beat out a lot of great guys to get that job right away. And I know it might only be temporary, but you still beat us.
Well, I'm just excited to be part of that and part of the broadcast and go out there. Once again, I've been doing this off and on for quite a while myself. I'm just trying to get in there and make some contacts and show what I can do. I look forward to working with guys like you, man. I've been on, I've been doing things with you for many, many years. And you're great at what you're doing. It's just that, like you said, there's kind of competition out there. Everybody wants to be involved with the sport in some way, especially people like yourself who fought for the title many times. And just that there's, like you're saying, there's only so many spots we can get. But with the way this sport's going, there's just so many different broadcasts, different things. I'm hopeful that we can everybody can get a share of that pie. You know what I mean?
People started asking me, how come I moved into reffing and judging? And I was like, well, I need to give back to the sport that made me famous. Fighting for the UFC made me famous. That's the reality of it. I need to give back to the sport. And I wasn't getting any commentating jobs, so I couldn't keep giving back. And that was my little way to give back, was through commentating and trying to express and explain to the people at home that don't really understand the sport, what the sport is really all about. Well, I can't do that anymore because I'm just not getting hired. So I said, let's start reffing. And that's the same reason why I'm doing it, is because it gives me a shot to get back to this sport that we really were the second generation. Like, I get Horace Gracie and the Shamrocks and the Tito Ortiz and the Chuck Liddells in the very beginning came to that first kind of little section. I jumped in right in the middle, and it's just we exploded. We're the beginning of the explosion because of Liddell and because of Ortiz. We got to get back, and if we can commentate or we can ref and judge, more of us have to jump into reffing and judging to save it. But that's a conversation for another time. But to have a guy like you with your knowledge and your fan base and your understanding of wrestling and boxing at a professional level, like really understanding it, is a huge thing for our sport. Because most of the commentators now, I love most of the guys that are working. I really like these guys, but they don't know what they're talking about. They really don't get what the sport is all about. You get it because you've been in there getting cracked in the head.
Well, and that's the thing, guys like me and like yourself. I don't think people realize I started fighting in 1998. You've been with the wrestling background plus fight. You've been doing this for 20 plus years yourself. So I don't think, no matter how much you research and how much you study and how much you look at, it's always going to be different when you haven't been living in that lifestyle for the past 15 to 20 years. So that adds a different element that I don't think a lot of people are ever going to be able to understand, and that's why I think we can excel where other people can't. So I think that's going to be a very good thing to have people like us involved in that aspect. But even when it comes to other aspects, I've talked with people before about possibly trying to set something up where we could get some ex-fighters to start becoming judges, because some of these people have never been in a fight in their life, and they're judging fights. And I look at them like, how did you make that decision? How did you give this guy the fight when he clearly lost? I mean, we can't have this anymore. Like, they don't even know. How can you have two judges who give the complete opposite scores? One guy wins all three rounds, the other guy gives the other guy all three rounds. That should never happen. So
let's remember though, Chris,
somewhere for guys to do that.
We could easily have the Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan problem, where Michael Jordan was the best player of all time in the NBA, and he can't coach to save his life. And that could be the problem. A lot of these fighters are jumping into reffing and judging, and they can't do it. But then we can also have the Phil Jackson syndrome, where he was a mediocre, really tough player, but one of the best coaches that ever came out of the game at all. And everyone looks at the triangle defense now because of Phil Jackson. We're talking about basketball. And I'm hoping that I'm more Phil Jackson than I am Michael Jordan when it comes to reffing and judging, because the same thing you just said is the reason why I jumped into it. We are seeing great fighters who pour their hearts out and get after it. Like we saw, Diego Sanchez versus Ross Pearson. I have no idea what fight those judges were looking at. I have no clue. I can't understand it for the life of me. I took Big John McCarthy's. There's several courses out there. Herb Dean has a course. Big John McCarthy has a course. But I took Big John McCarthy's reffing and judging course, and I'm taking privates with Big John McCarthy specifically to become a better ref and a better judge, because I don't want to suck when I go out there and make the same mistake you see, and I'm not going to name these refs, but you see these refs that have screwed me in the past and have not getting any better, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, are still making the same mistakes in the same fights, and the judges are getting even worse. It's a severe problem with our sport, and honestly, I think for as fast as the UFC is growing, if they don't get behind getting some of the ex-fighters and becoming judges and refs, they're going to expand so quickly that they're not going to be able to keep pace, and it's going to be a severe problem.
I mean, once again, I totally agree, and I like your point about, the Michael Jordans, and a great example to me was Isaiah Thomas. I thought he was a very great player. And the thing I noticed, it seems like the greater the player, many times, that's in the worse the coach or whatnot, because in my opinion, lots of times they're great players because they're just extremely athletic, and they didn't have to understand all the little idiosyncrasies to be a great player. You think a guy who's just an average athlete, but he was a good player, that guy had to work so much harder than the Michael Jordan and all those other people. He had to know you can't just run and jump over 4 guys and dunk. You had to figure out how to dribble around them, pass to the right guy, and have to know what everybody on the court is going to be. You understand the game better. And I think, hopefully like myself, I think I was a decent athlete, but I wasn't, some ridiculous, great athlete who could just dominate based on my sheer strength or whatever. So I think people like myself and you just understand the sport a little bit better could be very beneficial in many ways. I don't think we're going to go in there and just make stupid calls because we didn't understand the sport. We truly understand the sport.
Yep, exactly, and I can't agree more. And hopefully more guys, like I know Ricardo Alameda, is always doing stuff down in Jersey. I think he'll actually work in the Jersey card as a judge. But still, we need more. It's not enough just to have a couple, 3 guys. We need to get a good coalition of really smart, really good guys. And remember, the problem with reffing is it's not like commentating. You might make a few $1,000s, or depending on your contract, every time you commentate. When you ref or judge, you might make a few $100. And it's definitely doing something that you love to do because you want to give back to the sport. It's not a way to make a ton of money because we just don't make that kind of money as judges and refs. It's just not there. So
I couldn't believe when I heard how much the referees and whatnot are making. I was totally disappointed because that's a tough job, and deciding no matter what it's about. No matter what you do, somebody's not going to like what you do. You stopped it too early. You stopped it too late. I mean, you're not going to get 100% of the people. Hell, you like to get 50-50, So it's a thankless job. It's a tough job, and you're not getting paid that much. So I think they definitely need to look into stepping up the pay for a lot of the referees and judges.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully they'll change here in a little bit. Chris, I appreciate you coming out here with MMA Oddsbreaker. It's a big deal. And believe me, before Matt Mitrione's next fight, September 5th, you and I will be talking probably a week or 2 before that fight to see how his training camp's going.
Please do. Give me a call back. Man, I'd love to talk with you.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.